Hello, hello. This is Yuri of Moving Sales Professionals and Let's Talk Moving podcast. And with me today, I have Dwyght Mack. How you doing today, Dwight?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good, good. It's been a while since I had you on, and today I'm actually on the road here, spending a little bit of time in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, right before
Hmm.
July 4th here. So this is going to come out a little bit after that. But Dwight, so you've been doing moving training, and little birdie, mainly you, told me that you're back in the moving industry game. So tell me how that came about.
Well, it never really left my blood. I've always had the itch to essentially get back into it, just didn't know at what capacity I wanted to get back into it. And then it was just like trying all these different angles to really just just go for what you wanted to go for, like why play around, beat around the bush when you could just go for what you want?
Yeah, like when you had originally when you had Max Moving, I always find it. To be frankly, on the sales side, I found it bizarre that you decided to shut that company down because you had one thing that was really, really going for you that a lot of people were struggling with. Specifically, your phone was ringing. Whatever you were doing with your advertising and marketing, it was working because the phone was ringing and we were definitely talking to people and it was definitely moving related and not calls that were just, selling the stuff or junk or whatever. It was actually people looking to move. So whatever you were doing in that capacity, it was working for you. And that's something that a lot of companies struggled with. So what is it that you were doing? What is it that you're doing again in order to get that phone to ring?
So it's all about marketing, checking your ROI, making sure that you know which leads are working, which leads aren't working. Optimize your leads every like 30 days to 60 days. Optimize the leads to say, hey, you know what? Maybe we're not getting the right leads. Maybe we're not getting the right size leads. Because a lot of these lead providers, even though people started shying away from the lead providers, those were the calls that were coming in. Is like, hey, these
I
are
don't know
lead.
about that. Most of them were Google. They were not lead providers.
Well, once we got really established and our reviews were out there, Yelp, Google, you name it, pretty much any of these other websites, it's all about managing your Google Garden as well. If your Google Garden shows that you got great reviews in the area, that's going to speak more volume than anything else.
And now for a word from our sponsors. If you're a moving business owner, you may have already heard of Moversville, an email marketing service that helps moving companies increase, repeat, and referral business. But have you heard of Moversville Connect? Moversville Connect is an incredible resource for all things moving. They feature an array of vendors and services that cater specifically to the moving industry. You can find companies that provide moving software, moving sales services, marketing services, moving equipment providers, and much, much more. Visit moversville.com today to learn more.
Just optimizing your leads, so when you get leads, if you're getting all size leads and they're all over the place, they're in different markets, you're going to probably have to charge a high travel fee, which then that customer is going to be like, oh, the estimate's too high.
Mhm.
So understand your radius, understand what you can charge, and eventually the work will start to trickle to you in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's extremely important to make sure that you have people reaching out to you that you can actually book, first of all.
Hmm.
I have a couple of clients right now that they're getting leads that are way outside of the market, and they're a company whose main focus is long distance. But what they're getting is they're getting a lot of local leads, and it's like one thing is if the local leads are in their specific market and their specific city, and the other thing is that when their leads are actually like outside, they're like 4, 5, 6 hours away from their location. And while it's long distance and they can certainly pick up some of these jobs on the go, the other problem is that the leads that they're getting, they're anywhere from studio to a two bedroom, and there's a minimum at which it makes sense for them to do those jobs, and we're not hitting that minimum. Or the
Hmm.
customers are not willing to pay that minimum. And that puts you in a difficult bind because it's like, first of all, A, you're spending money on those leads, and those leads are not worth it. They're not paying off because you can't book them from the get-go.
Yeah, no, and that's why I was like, I realized that I could probably do long distance work, but there was so much money that we made. We made high, mid-high six figures just staying local. You
Right.
know, so I was like, why have to just go do a long distance job, depend on the trucks, all the logistics behind it to make sure that it works successfully
Hmm.
when you could be home the same night, make about a couple of grand, 3 grand, and be
Yeah, I mean,
comfortable.
I book these type of jobs all the time. I quoted one just like it today that where it's a 2-day job. Um it's about 1,400 cubic feet, so roughly about 10,000 pounds. It's a packing day and a moving day. The total estimate came, I think, around 5,800 or so. And it's a
Hmm.
local job. It's like the two locations are within 30 minutes of each other.
And that's one customer.
Right,
So
that's
just
one customers.
imagine,
Well,
you know,
like
you
those type of jobs. I put those type of jobs on the schedule almost week like every week. I have at least one job that's just like that, carbon copy. A little bit, maybe a couple of hours plus, couple of hours minus, but it's right around there. And in
Mhm.
most cases, like in this case, like the company that I'm doing this for, they have a 26-foot truck that has a bigger box that can fit 2,000 cubic feet, right? So they can move this one with 4 guys and no issues at all. And like that's gonna be done. And I book jobs just like this all the time.
Does your company need more creative marketing and ad campaigns to improve traffic and organic leads? Well, Moving Sales Professionals has a solution for you. We have partnered with social media marketing agency that has over 300 million views on their ads and videos across social media, and they have generated over $35 million for their clients over the last 10 years alone. Their services include content creation, social media ads, pay-per-click campaigns, website and funnel development, Google Ads, email marketing campaigns, lead generation, and much, much more. For a limited time only, they have discounted rates for their services. Sign up for a free consultation call with us via our Calendly link on our website or below this video.
So the biggest thing for us is we had 4 trucks back when, and basically all, as you already know, all 4 of our trucks were constantly out. So it was just like, and then we had like the extended cab where we had 4 guys that could fit in one truck. So that
Hmm.
it made it
Sure.
even better for that crew because it was like, hey, yeah, you're gonna be the 4 guy, one truck crew.
Yeah, no, and it's like I think I have a hard time understanding companies that want to just stick to long distance or companies that just want to stick to local, frankly, because I think that you gotta take what the market gives you.
Hmm.
Like, and that's in some month it might be more long distance than local. Other month it may be 50-50. The other month you may not have any long distance jobs. But you got to take what's there because it's like if you're not able to do those jobs, you're doing yourself and your guys a disservice by not taking business. You don't want to say no to business.
Yeah, and everybody frowns on like, so I told a lot of people, and I still coach a lot of people now, and I tell them that the whole paying, especially if you're not, some people are only doing fuel surcharges, they're not doing travel fees.
Hmm.
So those people that are doing just a fuel surcharge, they're like, oh yeah, we're only charging about 30 to $50 for fuel surcharge. Well, how are you covering the guys that you're paying to be at the office an hour early or 30 minutes early, and then you're paying them to come back to the office? So you're paying them on clock in all the way to clock out. How are you covering the unbillable time within that 30 to $50? And they don't know because they're probably not looking at the bottom line, looking at their numbers to understand that they're taking a loss.
Right. The other part too that I found, and I have my differences with Mr. Tim Krupp, but I do got to give him credit for something. And I'm always good for giving credit when credit is due. And one of the things one of the first people that ever said, "Hey, charge that credit card charge on the deposit as well." And at first I was kind of apprehensive. I'm like, okay, people are not going to go for this. They're going to go, oh, we got to pay that on the deposit too. And you know what though? I've had maybe over the years now, and there's been quite a few companies that have been doing this, but over the years now, I've been doing that consistently for multiple companies, and I have very, very little pushback on that.
So you
So
you you have froze out, but are you saying that you're charging credit card fee on deposit?
yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's something that Tim brought up to me the first time when we used to do sales for him. He's not, he doesn't talk about that, but we used to do a lot of sales for Tim before MoveBees ever opened. But of course, he
Hmm.
doesn't admit that, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
But reality is this, like for that particular thing, I give him 100% credit because he's the one that said, hey, just try it. And you know what? It works. It really does. It's all about how you do it in the sense that, okay, so the deposit is 10%, that's $100, and we charge 3% for credit cards, so it's 103. Which card do you want to use? Just like that, with the same
Mm.
tone of voice, with the same whatever, as a matter of fact. And honestly, I haven't had anybody complain about that in probably a few years at this point.
No, it's becoming a norm to charge the credit card fee, but I feel like because that's the only option we're giving them to pay their deposit,
Mhm.
that's the
Right,
reason why I don't.
and that's 100% the way that I felt at the time. And to a degree, I still feel that way, right? Because we're not giving him another option to pay the deposit. But at the same time, very few people actually have an issue with it.
Yeah.
And you always have an option of waiving it if you get somebody that gives you a hard time about it. And I'm talking about this specifically, like for example, we as sales guys, we take our commission, right? But ultimately, when we take our commission, we don't take commission on credit card, so that it doesn't help me one way or another by
Hmm.
advocating for it because I don't make money on it, right? But for you, the movers, when you get hit with those fees by the bank and what have you, that helps you. Knowing your
Hmm.
market, knowing your competition, know what they're charging. Like I work with a lot of companies in Virginia, Maryland, DC, which is because we're based in that market. What I find there's a lot of companies right now that for some reason have dropped their rates, which I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, have you been seeing a uptick in flat rate packing, or has it still been more hourly for you?
No, I really haven't seen an uptick on that. I mean, long distance companies have, if they're charging based on cube, they've always done an extra charge for cubic foot for full packing. Pound companies do the same thing with pounds. Local moves, you can either like the way that it's been working better for me across the board for full packing moves is just raising the hourly rate to include the materials. And
Yeah.
frankly, anytime I see a quote from somebody else that has a breakdown, this much tape, this much this, this much that, I always shut it down hard. Because when I see that, I'm like, well, that's an estimate. That's not a full packing cost. That's an estimate. The other, if it's not an estimate, why are they inventory and putting a number on how many rolls of tape or how many boxes or how many this or how many that? What happens if they use more? They're going to charge you more? They will.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it just always worked for us. I just, ever since Louis Mazzaro kind of drilled it to my head about, bringing 15 to 35% more packing material. That was one thing. And
Hmm.
then I just said, you know what? Hey, we're just gonna do it off of kits. We know how long it takes
Hmm.
for the guys to pack per box. And we're just gonna charge them flat rate so that there's no guessing game. If the guys is taking their sweet time packing, bill is running up, just hey, you know what?
Honestly, like we've always done it, like I said, a higher hourly rate, and that's for the entire move, not just the packing time. The entire move. So if the loading, transportation, unloading, packing takes 10 hours, you're charging that extra 100, $150 an hour for the entirety. And that pays off.
Now,
That pays off for the packing supplies. Obviously, the move takes longer, so that's covered. All that stuff, it pays off in the end. I think that's a like people like the idea of all materials being included. They like an idea of all-inclusive move without having to worry about how much supply is being actually used.
yeah, I think like you mentioned, the 2 day pack, 1 day pack, 1 day move has always been the way to go. Like I hate
Well,
doing
it
packing on a
depends on
day of
the
the move.
size. It depends on the size. If it's a two-bedroom or less, you can definitely do it on the same day. And you should. And now, if you're getting into three bedrooms and up, then yeah, you definitely should do a separate day. Simply because, like, at that point, it gets into a 12-hour move and guys are exhausted. And especially this time of year when they are working every single day, like, you don't want to kill your guys.
Yeah, and I feel
It's more about that than anything else.
like today was 90 degrees. So
Mhm.
having a pack and a move on a day like today, I felt like quality would have dropped. And that's just because it's hot, you're in somebody's house, you're packing their stuff up. Then now you're like, oh, hey, are we completely done packing? Okay, we got to start moving now. Oh, geez, we forgot that we got to pack this thing. So now you're kind of mixing the two services because guys are trying to get out of there now. Where it's like, hey, let's just focus on packing. Let's focus on moving.
Sure, sure. But yeah, no, I mean, I like I said, I think that that part is important. But I guess everybody has their preference on how they want to do that. But yeah, I mean, for, anytime I see glass or lots of fragile items, you definitely want to push them towards the full service. And then, I mean, the other part too is that I've run into companies don't, that don't bring packing materials on the truck unless the customer specifically requests it. I think that's so stupid, honestly.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I get that
there's
part.
almost always going to be packing, almost always. It's very rare that you get a customer that literally needs none. That you show up and everything is neatly packed and you're not going to do anything other than just wrap their furniture and blankets and that's it. Those moves are frankly rare in my experience. Most of the time there's at least something, right? And like I've always felt like we've done well with companies that always had a specific amount of supply on every truck, like X amount of wardrobe boxes, X amount of mediums, largest, so much tape, so much mattress covers, so much bubble wrap, whatever. I think it's great to have that. And frankly, if you're putting the same amount of inventory on every truck, then you can keep track of how much is actually used, how much is paid for, and how much going to the side because movers want to make some extra tip.
Yep. So that's why we keep a daily inventory
Mhm.
tracker
Yep.
on our Google Sheets. And our operations person just basically make sure they match up what the inventory is on the truck for the day versus what we had on the truck yesterday. And that's their sole job is like, hey, make sure we keep track of the inventory.
Yep, absolutely. I think that comes with basically having your systems in place. So, but that's important. But anyway, Dwight, it's great to see you back on the moving side of things. Hopefully, we can book some jobs for you soon.
Definitely,
Um,
definitely.
Yeah, I'll definitely looking to do that. But no, it's great. I mean, you can take a man out of the moving, but you can't take moving out of a man, right? It stays in you. It stays in you. But anyway, as I always say, it's great to have you join us. And you've been with us multiple times here throughout the years, and people like to listen to what you have to say about the industry in general. And I can't say that it's too busy, but there seem to be bigger jobs. And I think just based on what I see that there are too many companies out there that are panicking and lowering prices before they should.
Yeah.
I think there's plenty of work out there. I think today it may take a little longer for people to make decisions. I
It's
think
their
that
marketing.
Yeah, I think that it's taken like people are taking a little bit longer to decide which company to choose. But
Hmm.
with the fact that some of these companies are dropping their prices in freaking July, is just it's hurting the rest of us.
Yeah, no, and truthfully, it's the marketing and the unregulated market. So,
Yeah.
Florida being an example, Florida doesn't have regulated rates, so they could drop their rates at a drop of a dime because the customer just says, "Hey, you guys can't do anything cheaper." Sure, let it. We can go down this low just to get the job. That hurts. But then a lot of people marketing from all the people that I've been talking to is like, oh, we don't really have any marketing. We just word of mouth. And I'm like, what? Okay. So you be glad you get what you get.
Right. Yeah. You gotta market. You gotta use social media. You gotta use the tools that are available to you. There's so much out there. And sometimes, and I talk about this all the time too, sometimes you just gotta go back to being old school in a sense that you gotta go back to talking to realtors. You gotta go back to talking to apartment and house communities. You gotta go back to those things sometimes. I mean, yellow pages are gone, but face-to-face interaction and connection, that's still definitely there, and you still gotta take advantage of that.
Yeah, well, the beauty is, as I don't know if I caught you up, but I'm my own real estate agent now. So, I get to talk to myself and deal with all my tenants that I manage as a property manager. So I get to have that fun.
Okay, all right. So don't talk to yourself too much there, Dwight. You're gonna make me worry. But anyway, thank you very much for joining me. And like I always say, the world moves on its own, so let the professionals move yours for you. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll talk again soon.